So we're actually thrilled to have one of the stars of Andi Mack here with us today. So let's please welcome to the stage native Chicago resident Lauren Tom, also known as Celia Mack, and her real-life son, Oliver Kaplan, to briefly talk about their Asian American heritage and what it means to them, how great it was to be able to share some of their own cultural family traditions on Andi Mack and more. So please give them a warm welcome. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. We enjoyed that episode. I kind of want to watch the next one. I think everyone else was on the edge of their seats there at the end. But go ahead and talk a little bit about this episode and the heritage and the culture and how you brought in your own family.
Okay, it says, oh, good, it's working. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming. Hello. Well, the writer and creator, Terry and Elena, asked for feedback from myself and Leland, who plays, the older daughter, and also Peyton, about what kind of traditions they had in their own homes to kind of be able to write it authentically. So when I was growing up, my brother and I had to suffer through a lot of, well, I guess suffer's a little bit of a strong word, but our family actually used to make us go out to the cemetery and put that feast out, not just at our home. And then, the bowing and all of those other, the feast, those came from, feedback from me and my family. And the cool thing for us was that the ancestors in the photos on the altar table in the home are actually my grandparents. And so that was really touching for us to see. And a funny little story about that is just that, do you remember in the episode when, because I have this competitive relationship with my sister, she throws me a barb, and then I go like that to her? Well, what happened when we were filming that is that the picture, the two pictures of my ancestors, my grandmother's photo fell off the back of the altar as soon as I did that. Just her, and it just it made all of us go, ah, because no one had touched the altar table, no one bumped it or anything. And so it was kind of oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, hoo-hoo's what we call grandma in kind of Chinese baby talk. It means grandma in Cantonese. It's really ahu, but we said hoo-hoo. So I just had to apologize to her in that moment because I felt like she saw that little diss. But anyway, so that was, they cut that part out. Might have been a little bit too much. But anyway, so I'm just very proud of this show for representing so much diversity and women power and inclusion. And for those reasons, I'm excited that people your age get to see themselves represented on television, because I never got to have that, for sure. Oliver, you want to talk at all about...
Yeah. Every year we go to a Chinese place, and I get those red cards. It's always nice to get cash to spend. So it's always the best part. But other than that, the tradition is really rooted in our family and in the culture.
But not nearly as,
not
formal and strict, so I thought they'd give them a break.
So before we open it up for questions, I wanted to ask one. You talked a little bit about diversity and inclusion. So how have you seen diversity and inclusion change in the industry through the years? And why do you think that it's such an important aspect that the industry embraces and shares?
Well, I think that it's really coming along. Of course, it feels, it always feels like we wish it could be a little bit quicker even. But I think that Andi Mack is such a good example of how diversity has opened up so much, because originally the show was written to star a white Jewish girl, a white 13-year-old Jewish girl. And Peyton Elizabeth Lee came in and just wowed the socks off of them, and they chose her, and she's half Asian. So then, of course, they needed to cast the mother and the other daughter as Asian, and then suddenly the show is starring 3 Asian women, which is kind of unheard of. And so that was exciting. And it was similar to what Buffy was saying about needing to not be just as good, but having to be actually even better. So whenever people ask me about going into the business, I always say, just study your craft so much so that they can't not hire you. You do have to kind of cut through all of that. And I feel like the Asian community has really stepped up. And to be honest, I feel like the Asian community has learned a lot from the black community, because culturally we've been raised to be more on the quiet side and more polite, and I feel like we haven't been as vocal. But I feel like the whole movement in general is moving forward, and I'm excited about that.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's absolutely amazing. And we could see it from the episode, just the growth and the learning, I think, that everyone did here in the room today about, that amazing heritage that you have to share. I know that Oliver wanted to ask you a couple of questions, a little Q&A from your son. So go ahead and take it away, Oliver.
Yeah, I know the subject of diversity is a little heavy, so I was wondering if you had any funny stories from the set, or who's the silliest person on the set.
Well, who do you guys think might be the silliest person on set? Just shout it out. No, not just in that episode, but in the series in general. Buffy? Okay. All right, good answers. All right, whoever chose the answer of Bowie was correct. Because he is the silliest and probably youngest member of our cast, and he's always pulling pranks, and our producer Michelle is the nicest person on the planet, but the only time she ever raises her voice is to ask him to, Trent, his name's Trent, shh. So we kind of have adopted Trent as our youngest member of the cast. But he's a lot of fun. Actually, the wonderful thing about our cast is that the relationships and friendships that you see depicted on screen are very real. I've been in this business for so long, for probably 30 years, and I've never been in a cast and crew that is this loving, and it really is true across the board. Those guys are missing each other so much now, so we can't wait to get back to work.
We'd like to open it up to the audience for questions.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have some microphones going around, so if you go ahead and raise your hand, the ladies with the microphone will come and meet you.
There's one right there.
Yes, right here, this row right here.
Okay. Is it is it a bad thing if your ancestors punish you if you don't finish bowing to them?
Oh, no, I don't think that I personally don't think that the ancestors are ever punishing us. They're probably only there to support us and love us in more of a way that an angel might be. So it's just acknowledging them and paying respects every year. And I think there was another question right next to, yeah.
You said that you and your sister had a grudge. How did that start?
Wait, what was the second part? How did it start?
I think he said
how did it start?
he's talking about your characters.
The grudge? Yeah.
With the grudge.
The character, in real life we don't have that, but in the characters, I'm sure that you guys who have siblings, understand that there's some sibling rivalry sometimes. It just is kind of built into the nature of it. And so that started long ago, and I think that both of our characters are really competitive, so they wanted to bring that out.
I think we have another question right here. If we'll go ahead and hand this gentleman a mic.
How long did this cast take you with all the funny and silly moments?
Wait, I'm sorry? Oh, how long did it take to shoot?
Yeah.
Well, normally we shoot, 5 days out of the week. Is that right? Yeah, 5 days. And this one didn't take any longer than any of the other ones because we have to keep on schedule. But Ronald was pretty goofy, too. And so I just remember he didn't understand what Mensa was, and so that line was a little bit hard. Do you guys know what Mensa is? Yeah, okay, it's, for geniuses. So anyway, but yeah, we had a great time. We shoot it in Salt Lake City, and so it's a really beautiful town, and so I basically fly every 3 days to go there and shoot, and then I come home because I've got Oliver and another younger son, Leo, and I didn't want to miss them growing up. So everyone else moved there.
When the food was for the ancestors, do you mean the spirit of the ancestors is gonna come and eat the food or something like that?
It's more symbolic that they're eating the food and that it's for them to take on their travels. But then in actuality, after the ceremony's over, we all eat the food,
Oh,
so
okay.
it doesn't go to waste.
Oh, okay.
Asian people hate to waste food. I'm sure.
I think we could get a mic to that back row over there. We want to hear some questions from the people in the back.
Oh yeah.
Why is the color white the meaning of death?
Do you know that answer? Why is the color white the meaning of death? Oh, okay. Right. So my brother Chip is saying that just like in American culture, it's typical to wear black as the color of mourning. When you go to a funeral and things, it was in China, that color, in all of Asia, that color was white. So that's why it was such a faux pas for Asher to wear that.
Do we have a question in the back?
How close are you guys on set?
Oh, we are the closest. In fact, those guys, because I don't live there, I don't get to socialize as much, but they love to go roller skating, at this roller skating rink, going out to dinner. A lot of times the kids will have sleepovers at one another's houses. There's been a few times where Leland has actually taken care of Peyton because her parents couldn't make it, and so they're unusually close. It's great.
What was your favorite thing about you and the cast members' bond?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
What was your favorite thing about you and the cast members' bond?
Oh, well, for me, I think because I have 2 sons and I never had any girls, I feel like Peyton and Sophia are like my daughters. And Leland, too. She's older, but still, that's my favorite thing about it, that I can't say enough about these kids. I mean, you kids today are just you're so smart and knowledgeable and I think because of the internet, and I'm just really impressed with this generation and the fact that people have been galvanized to take part in politics now, and I feel actually very heartened by the action and the intelligence of this generation.
So I think we have time for 2 more questions. So whoever has a mic, go ahead and ask. I think we're handing it to the back row.
How did you feel when you first got on the set of Andy Mack?
When I first got on the set, I was really excited to be part of such a great conceptual show with such amazing writing. And it was pretty cute from Peyton and the kids' point of view. Because of the way that my role was written sort of strict and tough, they were actually kind of afraid of me. and then they were comparing notes. Oh, she doesn't seem so bad. And then as we got to know each other, they realized that it was just a character I was playing. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the 3 generations represented.
Is it hard to remember your lines on set?
I'm sorry?
Is it hard remembering your lines on set?
Oh, actors usually have their own little personal tools that they use to help remember lines, and for me, it helps me to visually write them out. So I'll handwrite them out, or I'll type them the night before. So I think this is good for everyone, too. When you're trying to study for a test, if you do it the night before and then go to sleep, your brain has a chance to absorb it more than if you were to wake up in the morning and try to learn the material.
Well, thank you all so much for those wonderful questions, and thank you for answering those questions. Really amazing. Yeah. I want to quickly introduce you all to kind of the driving force behind today's celebration and perhaps behind the episode itself, and that is Lauren Tom's mother, Nancy Tom. So let's go ahead and give Nancy Tom a round of applause and recognize her. Thank you so much. So thank you, everyone, for those amazing questions. And like I said, those answers were so just that insight. Thank you so much for being here today and doing this for us today. So we need to wrap it up and kind of move on to our next phase of our program. So I would like to give a warm welcome to the Executive Director of the U.S. Asia Institute, Mary Sue Bissell, and she's going to go ahead and present a special award.
Thank you, and thank you all of you for being here. I have two daughters who grew up watching another top-rated Disney show called Lizzie McGuire. Oh, yes. In fact, they still watch reruns in the movie and often talk about the impact of the show. Well, Terry Minsky was the creative force behind Lizzie McGuire, and she's now brought her magic back to a new show, Andy Mack, so as its creator. So we have asked Lauren to accept an award on her behalf to take back to her in recognition of her innovative and authentic storytelling, giving voice to diversity and inclusion to a new generation of young people. Terry Minsky, you, Lauren, and the entire cast of Andy Mack are truly inspirational to a whole new generation. Thank you.
So how would the audience like to take a quick selfie with Lauren Tom? So Lauren's going to go ahead and take a quick selfie with you all. So put on your biggest and brightest smiles. Stay seated so that we can see everyone's smiling faces.